Since winning the Best Actor Oscar for Oppenheimer last year, Cillian Murphy has made two adaptations with director Tim Mealance. The first, also from last year, was the underrated Small Things Like These, a much smaller film than Christopher Nolan's epic, but that still carried the weight of painful history and human suffering. Now, the two have collaborated again with Steve, based on the book Shy by Max Porter, who wrote the screenplay as well. While Steve might be familiar to anyone who has seen similar films about troubled kids in a school not fully prepared to give them the help they deserve, it does once more show Mealance's gift for extracting yet another strong performance from Murphy, in a film that ultimately hits the right notes. What is Steve about?
Set over the course of one day at an English boarding school for boys in 1996, Steve primarily follows the titular Steve, the head teacher at the school. The days at the school are usually full of fights between the boys, as teachers without the proper funding or staff they need try their best to teach the students. The staff is doing their best, but a few hours rarely pass without something going wrong. They clearly care, but it's exhausting and taking its toll on both sides. Making matters even worse is a news crew, which is hovering around for the day to document the school and interview the teachers and students. To make matters somehow even worse, those funding the program to keep the school afloat have announced that they're shutting its doors in just a few short months. As for Steve, he was recently in a car crash, which taken its toll on him physically and emotionally, leading him to kill the pain in other ways. As the day goes on, it's clear that every character is approaching their breaking point.
Steve makes a shift from the original story that might not have been the best choice. Porter's book followed one of the students named Shy, showing the school from the student's perspective. Porter has shifted this for the film to prioritize Steve, and while it's somewhat understandable that this choice was made, given that the film has Murphy as the star, it's a bit of an odd one. By changing to the place of authority, we're given access to the intricacies of what makes this school run and what is really going on behind the scenes when the students aren't around, but we're missing more of the heart of this story. Because of this shift, Porter's screenplay is mostly showing us the negatives of this endeavor, the ways this school is being bled dry, the constant fights that almost negate any learning that's trying to be done, and the frustration with trying to keep everything together. Yet, in doing that, we don't get as much time with the students, and while near the end we do get an extremely beautiful moment where Steve points out what makes each of these kids so special and unique, it comes too late in the film. Instead, we've seen mostly negatives, and Porter's screenplay saves the positives until his conclusion. As far as movies about schools go, Steve can't help but feel like plenty of other films about teachers struggling to help their students. Again, it makes one wonder if sticking to Sky's point of view would have helped this, and at times, Porter's screenplay does show us what is going through Sky's head. But it's fairly scattershot throughout the film, which is a shame, considering how charming he is in the film's opening moments and heartbreaking in his second major scene. Some of the film's most affecting moments are from the perspective of Sky. We just don't spend enough time with him or the students overall. But this is a fantastic breakthrough role for Lycurgo as Sky. In just a few short scenes that prioritize him, Steve shows how the experience of going to the school would impact a kid like Sky. In his first scene, we get to see the joyful nature that shines through on occasion as he shares a song with Steve, followed by the heartbreak when his mother says they've given up hope on him over the phone. Through Lycurgo, Sky is a character who is clearly smart, but feels like the world has completely turned its back on him, so why even bother? Especially in the third act, Lycurgo makes the realization of that hopelessness hit hard through his performance, cementing the young actor as a rising star to keep an eye on.
Cillian Murphy is, of course, very good in Steve.
Through the news team's interviews, we do get a bit more of an understanding of who these teachers are. Tracy Ullman is a nice addition as Amanda, who has a passion for helping these boys that is clearly wearing her down after untold years at this job. Simbi Ejikawa's Shola shows the naivete of a new teacher trying her best despite the difficulties of teaching at this school. These two performances show the toll that teaching can take over the span of a lifetime, with Shola fresh-faced and wide-eyed, but already showing cracks, while Amanda has grown accustomed to the exhaustion. Ullman and Ajikawa add some much-needed flavor to this cast, adding a deeper look at what working at this school is really like. As one would expect, Murphy is expectedly good here, and he's great at being panicked as the world he's built is falling apart around him. Much like with Oppenheimer, Murphy excels at presenting the deep pain he feels inside, while rarely explaining what is going on deep within him.
As Steve, he's flustered and nervous, as a man who has felt the rug pulled from under him, yet still must go on as if things are business as usual. And it's a role Murphy plays brilliantly. Steve is an adequate film about teachers, students, and the struggles that they both go through, but it's also hard not to think that a bit more insight into the lives of the students earlier on, particularly from the perspective of Shy, could have made this into something even more special. Steve opens in limited release on September 19th and comes to Netflix on October 3.